Hi everybody, welcome to my first ever masterclass, and it's how to make a classic drink from the First World War. It's a French 75, so this is my ultimate favourite cocktail, and I absolutely love making it and drinking it, but mostly drinking it. I have a tendency to make things a bit strong, so yeah, cut back on bits and pieces that you would like to. And this is not a hard and fast rule on actually sort of like the recipe itself. So if you wanted to have it a little bit less tart or sweeter, or a bit more sort of boozy on the sort of gin base, then sort of use this as a base and play around with it as I have really. So what I will be doing is I'll be making 3 versions of the French 75. And I'll be using Figges Marsh, Graveney Gin and Grow Fever. So the first one will be a classic French 75 recipe, and I'll be using Figges Marsh. So we'll see those bad boys later. So Figges Marsh was released in January 2020, so this crazy year. And it's my take on an Old Tom. So it's a slightly sweeter London dry gin, and it contains figs which have been sort of marinated, macerated over a 2-week period with neutral grain spirits, and then it will be distilled with sort of honey and vanilla. So it sounds a lot sweeter than it actually is. So it's not as sweet as it sounds, but it's a beautiful base to use for a French 75 when you're adding that sort of sugar syrup and lemon juice. So the classic recipe consists of gin, lemon juice and sugar syrup with topped up with champagne. So that's the classic version as well, and then I'll be doing 2 others with Graveney Gin and Grow Fever. So let's get started. So it's a single gin, so that's 25 millilitres worth of gin. So if you've got a shaker, use that, or if you've got a Tupperware or a glass that you want to use, just pop some ice in it. Pour your single there. Sugar syrup, don't go and buy this, it's so easy to make and it's cost pence to make. The recipe is actually on the blog, so go check it out if you would like to find out how to make it yourself. But it's just 2 parts sugar, 1 part water, and you dissolve the sugar until it becomes quite a thick syrup base. So that's a single of sugar syrup, that's 25 millilitres of that. And then my lemon juice, which I have freshly squeezed. If you don't have lemons hanging around, then shop bought lemon juice is perfectly fine as well. So it, depending on what you want to do and have time to do. 25 millilitres of a lemon juice there. So pop that in there. So it's got ice pre-made in this little shaker here, and then you give it a good old shake. Now, I have a toddler, and my toddler has sort of disappeared with the sort of sieve. So what I'm going to do is then just gently pour this directly into my pre-made champagne glass, and I've popped a zest of a lemon in there as well. So just give that a good old pour. Then what you do is then you get your champagne and pour it at an angle, and then slowly pour in your champagne into the glass. Now it's a great way to actually, if you've got 1 bottle of champagne, it's incredibly expensive to have, and just to sort of stretch it out, I suppose, if you've got some guests, and it's a lovely, refreshing cocktail, and it looks absolutely beautiful as well. So there we go. There's the lemon zest in there, and just to recap, it's single gin, single lemon juice, single sugar syrup, and topped up with your champagne. So I'm just going to have a bit of a swig on that. Oh, I absolutely love it. Okay, so that's the first one, made with Figges Marsh over there. Then we will turn over to we'll use Graveney Gin. And what I have at the bar is something called a French 75, and it's an upscale version. So it's still got your base of lemon juice. What we have actually sort of transferred from the sort of sugar syrup, we've used Saint-Germain, or however you'd like to sort of pronounce it. There we go. Pull that out. Get some fresh ice and pop that into your shaker. And what I'm going to use instead of champagne is Prosecco. So this will make it slightly sweeter and sort of an Italian 75 instead of the French 75. So what we have is our sort of measure again, and just do a single gin. So Graveney Gin is on the citrus side of things. It's certified organic, so is all gins itself. And sits at 45%, so it is quite punchy. So let's put that over there. So a single gin, a single of the Saint-Germain. There we go. I absolutely love this stuff. It's got a base of elderflower, so it's absolutely beautiful. And your lemon juice. Pop that in there, so single, so everything is consistent, so single, single, single. And then what we use just to sort of pop it up and make it a bit sort of fancier is a raspberry liqueur. So you can get this at any sort of wholesalers, online as well, but it's absolutely beautiful. So just a sort of single there, maybe a little bit less than a single, so I'd say maybe about 20 millilitres, because it is quite punchy, and it adds a beautiful colour to the French 75, which you'll see. So pop the lid on that, pour it there, again, give that a good old shake. There's your glass, your champagne glass. Again, try and do this as without getting any ice. There we go. And as you can see, it adds this beautiful sort of pink tinge to it. And for research purposes, I was having this last night, so that's the reason why there's that much in the Prosecco glass there. And this I got from Lidl, but you know, places like Unwind in Tooting Market do amazing Proseccos, or just, you know, depending on sort of like your budget, there's everything, I suppose, for anybody in your local supermarket. This is an organic Prosecco here, so let's just pull that and top that up. Again, just put it sideways so it doesn't just spill over. And this is an absolute winner at the bar. Well, so it's the sort of our #1 selling cocktail is this Upscale French 75. Absolutely beautiful, very, very elegant, and just delicious, really. So the raspberry, lemon juice, gin, and the citrus of the gin is just absolutely beautiful. So again, for research purposes, I'm going to have a little sip of this. So if I've got 2 drinks. Oh, what a great sounding. Okay, absolutely love that. So I will be digging into that while making that. And then the last one is made with Grove Fever. So this is on the herbal side of things. It's got sort of rosemary and thyme through it. Again, 45%, absolutely lovely. And the charity link, like all these gins, this one's for St George's and the paediatric unit there. So 10% of every sale of the bottles will go to St George's. So what we'll do here, again, let's empty out that shaker. And put the last of the ice into there. Okay, and this I'm going to be using a pink rosé. So it's a bubbly rosé, and it's just absolutely lovely. I think pink rosés, you know, are sort of quite popular at the moment. So this is a lovely one for sort of having sort of guests over when you can. So let's just pop that over. And the only difference with the sugar syrup that I have used with this to actually complement the rosemary and thyme in there and to add a little bit of a twist is it. So with your sugar syrup, where you have 2 parts sugar, 1 part water, and you heat that up to dissolve it to create a really thick sugar syrup. With this, I've actually added a bag, a tea bag, an Earl Grey tea bag. So absolutely beautiful. When your hot water is dissolving, pop that in, swirl it around, and I would leave it, depending on sort of the strength of your fondness of Earl Grey, anywhere between sort of like 5 to sort of 7 minutes. And then that adds an absolutely beautiful sort of complexity and earthiness to the sugar syrup. So you can pimp up any of these sugar syrups. You can put sort of fresh rosemary, fresh thyme in there, you know, mint, for example. So you can really kind of play around with the various different sort of tastes of your simple sugar syrup. I'm a horrible multitasker, so I can only do one thing at a time. I can either just talk or just do something. So yeah, I'll learn basically just to sort of do 2 things at once, but I'm horrendous. But I can open up a bottle of bubbles, that is for certain. I never spill an absolute drop. So with this one, what I've done is I've sort of tarted it out. I've added a raspberry and a sort of zest of a lemon in there as well. So you can kind of go a little bit crazy with your sort of garnishes as well if you'd like. So what we'll do here is we have the Grow Fever, and it's a single of the Grow Fever in there. Da, 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 da. Move that along so you can kind of see what I'm doing here. There we go. So single gin, single lemon juice. There we go. And then it's the Earl Grey sugar syrup. So pour that in there. Beautiful. Okay, and give that a good old shake. I'm running out of ice. Oh, it's not much of a loud noise there. Okay, then pour that into your glass, over your raspberry and your lemon zest there. Pour in the bubbles. There we go. Absolutely beautiful. It's got a real delicate pink colour to that. And it's just a little bit of a spin on that. So that is a sort of a Kent-based vineyard, and that is their actual sort of take on a champagne. So it's absolutely lovely, and again it's sort of British champagne, and I think it's absolutely sort of, you know, beautiful products available as well. You know, you don't have to kind of purchase Italian, sort of, you know, Spanish cavas. You know, there's the British versions just right here, and they're absolutely lovely. So I'm using this Balfour Hush Heath Estate Rosé. So this is pretty much all made in England, this English 75. So there we go. That's that version over there. And delicious. I have to say that, don't I? So, there we go. Just to sort of recap, classic French 75, made with Figges Marsh. Then we have the Upscale French 75 over here. That's made with the classic Graveney Gin. And then we have pimped it up with some rosé and the Grow Fever, and we have made that the English 75 there. So all through from your French, sort of Italian and English 75s. I really hope that you've enjoyed doing that and following through. I will leave all the recipes on this video as well, so you've got the all measurements as well. But thank you for listening, and yeah, please join me soon.